session, I want to explain about erase and offset comments. First, erase comment. Removes object from a drawing. You can erase selected objects from the drawing. This method doesn't move objects to the clipboard where they can then be pasted to another location. If you are working with 3D objects, you can also erase sub-objects such as faces, meshes, and vertices. Instead of selecting object to erase, you can enter an option such as L to erase the last object drawn, P to erase the previous selection offset, or All to erase all objects. You can also enter question mark to get a list of all options. First erase, press enter. All, type all. Or type question mark. Now I want to explain about offset comment. Creates concentric circles, parallel lines, and parallel curves. You can offset an object at a specified distance or through a point. After you offset objects, you can trim and extend them as an efficient method to create drawings containing many parallel lines and curves. Offset distance, create an object at a specified distance from an existing object. For example, I type 10. I can choose erase no after offsetting to create the copy of the line or objects. And now I type 10. The offset comment repeats for convenience. To exit the comment, press enter. I want to repeat. And I want to choose the offset with true. Select this object through this point. Through creates an object passing through a specified point. For best result, when you offset the polylines with corners, specify the true points near the midpoints of a line segment, not near a corner. Erase as I shown erases the sources object after it is offset. Layer determines whether offset objects are created on the current layer or on the layer of the source object. I type 10 for another one and repeat it. Or I type 1. In the next session, I want to explain about fillet comment, chamfer comment, and blend curves. In this session, I want to explain about fillet chamfer and blend curves comments. First, fillet comment. Round or fillet the edge of two 2D objects or the edges faces of a 3D solids. A round or fillet is an arc that is created tangent between two 2D objects, or it is a curved transition between two surfaces or adjacent faces on a 3D solid. For creating 2D fillets, it can be created between two objects of the same or different object types. 2D polylines, arcs, circles, ellipses, elliptical arcs, lines, rays, splines, and X-lines. If the two selected objects are on the same layer, the arc defined is created on that layer. Otherwise, the arc is created on the current layer. The layer affects object properties including color or line type. You should select first object of two objects or the first line segment of a 2D polyline to define the fillet. And the radius, for example, type 3. And the second object, select the second object or line segment of a 2D polyline to define the fillet. If the selected objects are a straight line segment of a 2D polyline, the line segments can be adjacent to each other or separated but by one other segment. When the selected segments are separated by a segment, the segment that separates them is removed and replaced with the fillet. The direction and length of the arc created is determined by the points picked to select the objects. Always select an object closest to where you want the end point of the fillet to be drawn. For example, radius, when you choose this part of the line, draws these fillets and these fillets. When you move the mouse in the right side of the line. And for the circle, when a circle is selected, the circle isn't trimmed. The fillet drawn meets the circle smoothly. Adding a fillet or round to a hatch boundary that was defined with individual objects results in the removal of hatch associativity. If the hatch boundary was defined from a polyline, associativity is maintained. For polyline, for example, a rectangular, radius, polylines, you can see all of edges will be fillet. trimmed controls whether the selected objects are trimmed to meet the endpoints of the fillet. Trim selected objects or line segment are trimmed to meet the endpoints of the fillet, or no trim selected objects or line segments are not trimmed before the fillet is added. Now I want to explain about chamfer command. This one. Bevels or chamfers the edges of two 2D objects or the adjacent faces of a 3D solid. A bevel or chamfer is an angled line that meets the endpoint of two straight 2D objects, or it is a sloped transition between two surfaces or adjacent faces on a 3D solid. The distances and angles that you specify are applied in the order that you selected the object. For creating 2D chamfer, a bevel or chamfer can be defined by selecting two objects of the same or different object types, lines, polylines, rays, and X-lines. If the two selected objects are on the same layer, the line defined is created on the layer. Otherwise, the line is created on the current layer. The layer affects object properties include color, clothing color, and line type. First, you should select the first of two objects and choose, for example, distance or angle. 3. Specify second chamfer distance, for example, 5. Select second. 2, 5. Adding a chamfer or bevel to a hatch boundary that was defined with individual objects result in the removal of hatch associativity. If the hatch boundary was defined from a polyline, associativity is maintained. For polyline, like fillet comments, insert a chamfer line at each vertex of a 2D polylines where two straight line segments meet. The chamfer lines become new segments of the polyline unless the trim option is set to no trim. Line segments that are too short to accommodate the chamfer distance aren't modified. For the chamfer, you choose distance or angle. Distance sets the chamfer distance from the intersecting points of the first and second object like this. And angle sets the chamfer distance from the intersecting point of the selected objects and the XY angle from the first object or line segment. Now I want to explain about blend curves. Create a splines in the gap between two selected lines or curves, like this gap between two lines or two curves. Selected each object near an endpoint. The shapes of the resulting spline depends on the specified continuity. The lengths of the selected objects remained unchanged. Select first object and the second one. First, second. Or when you can select near the end of the arc, for example, it will be changed. Second object, select another line or open curves near the end where the spline should end. Tangent or smooth. Continuity. Create a degrid three splines with tangency continuity to the selected objects at their endpoints. In the next session, I want to explain about the layer and match properties.